Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax while we chat about what is happening up in the stars above us today, July 7th. If you can believe we're in July already. And it's so nice to be able to be with you today. Oh gosh, given the problems on what day was that? Friday? Or last Monday, whatever day, it was Monday. Uh, I don't know what the issue was. It did look like afterwards that StreamYard had been doing some kind of an update, and maybe that's what the problem was. As later in the next day, I think it was, I tested it, and whether I was connected immediately to right to the router or whether I was wireless, it worked fine. Who knows, right? Technology. And of course, technology is a big deal at the moment since today already the planet Uranus has made his move into the sign of Gemini for the first time in 84 years, right? Since 1941, I believe it was. And yeah, that's a long time ago, right? 19 might have even been a little earlier than that. And we can see by the changes that happen in technology and AI in this particular time period that the next 7 years are likely going to be full of a lot of different changes in communication and education and what have you. So today there's this powerful cosmic shift, the last in a long line of shifts that we've experienced since Neptune moved into Aries, Saturn moved into Aries, Jupiter moved into Cancer, and now Uranus moves into Gemini. Oh, I forgot about Pluto moving into Aquarius. That was the first of the big shifts. So today we finished this long parade of shifting energies that are changing the very foundations of who we think we are, of where we think we're going, of how life in general works for the collective. But as well, you're also, changing personally. So there is some real benefit to taking a look at what these planets, as they change signs, mean for us. But before we leap forward, let's just take a breath for a minute and reflect on what it is that we've been learning while Uranus was moving through the sign of Taurus. Taurus being a completely different sign from the sign of Gemini. And, Uranus was in Taurus since 2018. And it really taught us to rethink what it is we value. And including things like money and security and safety and nature and foods and bodies, sensuality. And in a way, we've been pushed out of our comfort zones during these last 7 years, um, and into what Uranus would consider necessary innovation, necessary change, right, and transformation. And we've witnessed global financial shocks, supply chain issues, an intense reevaluation of how we live on and with the planet Earth, right? We've swung sort of from caring and moving into more sustainable energetic sources like wind or hydroelectricity or electric vehicles. Now we're swinging the other way. And that's a little disturbing because it's not sustainable to go back to only oil based cars, things like that. But, we're in the process of learning all of these different lessons. And now with Uranus moving into Gemini, and I already checked the chart this morning, he's already at 0 degrees of Gemini. So early in the morning, he's shifted. And the focus shifts now to the mind and to communication and ideas and networks. And, transportation is a part of all of that. Gemini rules transportation and transportation systems and networks, things like that. And now we're entering this accelerated time of learning and technological revolutions, technology in its increased states, and AI expansion and shifting modes of communication, including AI, but also how we network and how do we communicate with one another, social medias, things like that. Transportation and education, also areas that Gemini rules, that with Uranus in Gemini will be changing. Now, this transit, is going to challenge our old thinking patterns and the way that we think, the way that we speak, the way that we connect, and the way that we create ideas. And here's where it gets really interesting because in human design, Uranus enters Gemini into the gate 8, the gate of contribution. And this is the gate of making your unique impact on the world. And as this gate carries this energy of individual expression, then we see that as we start this new transit, we're really looking at what it is that we contribute to the whole. What is our role? What is it that we are passionate about? And what is it that we want to weave into the collective? And every one of you has a role to play, has a part, has a specific gift or genius or passion that is yours to contribute to the whole. So Uranus invites you here to rebel always, be the contrarian always, but with a purpose. And the purpose here is to offer your gifts, not to fit in, but to elevate the whole of civilization or the whole of the collective. So, a good question as we start this week would be, where are you ready to step into a more authentic expression or contribution of your skills, your wisdom, your passion? And what fears do you have to shake loose in order to be able to do that, to be fully seen and to be ready to, share of yourself in your highest and best, right? So, all of this is beginning today. And then as we move into July 10th, which is Wednesday, then Uranus will make a shift out of the gate 8 and into the gate 20, called the gate of patience. But it's also known as the gate of now awareness. And this is the gate of presence, being in this now moment. Um, and here, disruptions may occur to busyness and distractions and overthinking. It's a wake up call to live in the now moment and to act with consciousness in the now and to trust the timing of life, that everything happens in the right timing. And yet, we may feel pressured or feel the need to rush because Uranus says, true change comes from aligned presence and doing, right? Doing things. And yet the gate 20 says, but do things in the right timing, right? In the right way, in the right time. No, in the way that, works best for you and for the world. And the timing is always going to be more of the divine sort, right? When is the right timing? And if that's not enough, this is also the beginning of a new human design week where we have the sun in the gate 53, which is called the gate of starting things. And the earth is in the gate 54, which is a gate of drive and ambition. So the energy is all about beginnings, ambition, and climbing, toward those new goals that you may have. And we're also building toward Wednesday's full moon and the full moon in Capricorn, which brings a powerful dose of kind of grounding and closure and accountability. And that means that even as our minds are racing ahead with, Uranus and Gemini, the Capricorn moon will remind us to make it real and make it sustainable. I woke up thinking about sustainability this morning. Now I can't remember what the thought process was, but sustainability. And today, then ask yourself whether what message you have that's unique to you. What is it that you want to share? And what are you being called to innovate in your own thinking, right? What is being called to be uplifted or to be up-leveled, if you will? And maybe even how up-leveling how you communicate with others. And in a real way, this is about how do you meet the future? because Uranus is always about the future and where we're going, where we're headed. And Uranus in Gemini is here to disrupt, awaken, and liberate our voice and our ideas and our thinking patterns. And it all begins now, right now, today. And it begins with you contributing your light to the collective spark, right? Everybody joining in and participating with what it is that is unique to you and authentic to you. So, wow, right? Here we go into a whole nother week. Let's say good morning to people. I saw Julie out there first this morning. It's good to have you with us, Julie. Good morning, Amy D. And Jason's Automotive. Good morning, Janet. It's going to be a great week. I'm with you. I feel like, there are some really positive things to learn about with Uranus and Gemini, and just the energy of this week seems really, really good, powerful even. Good morning, Tom. How do Astro family? He says. Good morning, Asa. Good to have you with us. Jacqueline Tyler. Good morning. Christine. Good morning. Play, love, remember. Good morning. J-Lo. Good morning. Jana. Good morning to you as well. And for all of you out there that I don't see, welcome. And now let's dig in a little deeper to some of the information that we've already been sharing. So this is the beginning of week 2 in July 7th through the 13th. Our human design sun is in the gate 53. Let me share the chart so I can show you what that looks like. And I gotta make this a little bigger so I can see it. There we go. So we have the sun and the earth both down here on the root center. The root center being the center for adrenalized stress, right? For the pressure to move, to do, to make, to build, to grow. It starts all of our journeys, right? The root center begins our hero's journey, our hero's quest, whether that quest is one of learning, whether it is a journey to the spirit, if it's a journey to relationship or to better finances, whatever the journey is, it always begins with this energy that sits at the root center. And today the sun is in the gate 53, and that is the gate of starting things, right? It is kind of the, putting out of the new energy and to take the first steps in whatever it is that you are wanting to create. And the earth is in the gate 54 right next to it here. And the gate 54 heads over to the spleen center. It is a gate called drive and ambition, right? We could also call it that. And it's divine inspiration in quantum human design, which I think is a good. We don't often think of inspiration as coming from the root center. We often think of it as coming in through the mind or the head centers, but the inspiration to act could come from the gate 54. So this week plants seeds, right? The gate 53 carries this energetic impulse to start something new projects, new relationships, new chapters, new jobs, new what you just fill in the blank, right? And it's not about rushing ahead. This isn't willy-nilly leaping kind of energy, but listening energy, listening to the right timing to initiate something. And with Earth in the gate 54, the gate of ambition, it's also a little bit spiritually infused. It's almost like the soul pushing through the gate 54. And what you begin now is meant to be inspired, not just taking any action, not ego driven either, but really inspired, inspirited, right? And this is a great week then to align with your goals, uh, your outer goals, but your inner motivation. And really asking yourself those questions about what it is that you would really love to do, who you would love to be, all of that type of stuff. Now, as we started out the show this morning with sort of a retrospective of Uranus in Taurus and the movement to Uranus in Gemini, we start this whole time, if you will, of ideas and communication and innovation, because Uranus and Gemini, Uranus is a planet that loves air, right? It loves the air signs. and it brings some, disruptive breakthrough type energies to all the places that it rules. So innovation and transportation and communication and all of that. And especially with AI in the mix nowadays, right? 84 years ago, AI was probably not even in anybody's mind yet. But here it is, 84 years later, and now we're going to be really fully engaged in determining what AI is for us in the future, right? So there's this collective spark right now of curiosity, of mental restlessness, even. Some of you may experience this as restless thoughts, of anxiety that is provoked from this restless movement of Uranus energy, disruption, awakening, etc., moving through an air sign like Gemini. But it's also about education and breakthroughs in education and language and all of these different things, and how we think and how we connect with one another. So expect sort of fast-paced changes, and the rise of, sort of decentralized intelligence. I'm not sure that's good or bad. Global dialogue changes. How do we communicate as a globe? On a personal level, now, this transit really prompts the question about what outdated thinking patterns or mental constructs need to be shaken up so that you can grow into a new way of thinking. And, thinking about thinking, right? How do I think and what do I think about, and how do I change my thinking? Am I stuck in patterns? Like some of you may have energies at like the gate 47 in your, which would be up here on the ajna, the second center down, where you have definite patterns of thinking. And for those of you who have a defined ajna, the second center down, this is where you have certainty in how the world works, or how you think the world works, and how you think about things, right? How do you think? And it's defined, meaning it's kind of something that is natural to you to think in that certain pattern. So, those of you who have those defined areas, like thinking patterns, um, in your natal human design, may find this a more difficult period of time, as your natural way of thinking and your beliefs and your patterns and your fundamental beliefs change, shift, right? They have to, right? It has to shift. And, there's about 50% of the population out there whose thinking patterns have gotten into, a certain way of believing, a certain thing that you believe, but the world is going to show us a different view. So that is going to be interesting. Um, Also, what new ways of thinking can you move into? Can you elevate your thinking beyond, where it has been? Can you connect to your higher power in a way that allows thinking to be imbued with spirituality or with spirit? And that should be, one of the things that we think about throughout this period of time. Um, that we think about. Yeah. There's a lot for us to think about. And yet, Uranus in Gemini is the time in history where almost all of the big wars have been fought, right? The World War II, I think it was World War One, the Civil War. If you go back every 84 years, as the sun is or as Uranus moves into Gemini, we have these big revolutions that up until now have always been sort of militarized and fought in battles, physical battles. And I wonder, as we are headed into this period of time with Uranus and Gemini, the battle may be shifting to thinking processes and how our thinking is controlled. Um, when you think about the news and the news cycle and what's real and what's not real in terms of the information superhighway, right? And all of that, how is that going to be affected now? Is the war not one that is a physical battle with guns and knives and things like that, but one that is fought with the mind, right? With information. Certainly, we've seen that. We've seen the rise of conspiracy theories, for lack of a better term, alternative ideas of what's going on, alternative realities, things like that. So I think that a part of the experience for us, perhaps rather than a physical battle kind of war, it is much more the battle of wits, the battle of information, whose information is true, how do the sheeple follow along with the patterns of thought that have always been there? Or do we break out of that? Uranus would seem to suggest we need to break out of that. And that is my hope, of course, that we break out of that kind of herd mentality, that we begin to think for ourselves and draw new connections and patterns of thinking certainly is possible. But as any time a planet makes a move like this, we bump up against the most negative aspects of the sign or of the planet in the beginning, right? It's almost like we have to see the shadow first before we can heal and before we can move through it and elevate. So I would also expect that, some of the more negative aspects would be more apparent. And as I said earlier, July 10th, Wednesday, Uranus will actually move out of the gate 8, the gate of contribution, and into the gate 20, which is literally called the now, right? Living in this now moment. This gate connects present awareness with aligned action. So it puts us right, centered in this now moment. The gate 20 is up here on the throat center, as is the gate 8, where Uranus is right now, and we'll move out of into the gate 20. And, you know, eh, how you engage with the now is so important, because so many times we're thinking so far ahead, and Uranus is a planet of the future, right? It is a planet that likes us to have the goals and the dreams that are, forward thinking. But we can't leap from now to the forward thinking if we're not really anchored or rooted in this timing. So this is a gate that I think will be, about intuitive timing, waiting until the right moment to take action. While Uranus is actually a disruptor here in gate 20, perhaps it offers a liberating presence, right? Where we're really awakened to what is happening in this moment. Now, breakthroughs come from mindfulness and responding instead of reacting. And that's another big lesson that we're learning, human beings on a collective level, really learning to be less reactive and more responsive. And again, that's an ongoing process that we'll be moving through for a length of time, as as we begin to feel the effects of the solar plexus mutation, which is happening in 2027. We're feeling the very beginnings, the stirrings of that transition to becoming more responsive and less reactive. So that's a pretty positive expression of, I think, this energy of the times that we're in. So let's take a look and see if people have questions. Let's see, Jana. After Jana was Nancy Ross. Good morning. And J-Lo, I did see you out there. Tom had to restart because I was buffering. Now I'll probably lose my crown. Okay. I don't know why it would be buffering. I'm actually hardwired into the system at the internet at this point in time, because I thought perhaps my wireless signal was weak, and that was why I couldn't connect last week. But it seems to be doing good today. Thank you, JLo, for the reminder to hit the like button if you're enjoying the content here, and then share, of course, with your friends. Hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube, and the like if you are on Facebook. And Tom says he's demoted to number 2. I don't know what that means, but okay. Gayla Seeger, good morning to you. And Tom says, I clicked on the crown, and someone who hasn't been here in years was listed as number 1. Asa is number 2, and me number 3. Now it's changed. Must be a revolution. I don't know. That must be a YouTube thing, right? Because I don't get it. Play, love, remember. Uranus must like me, live me, because I'm Taurus. with a Gemini moon. Uh, I think that's probably helpful for you, right? I have Uranus in Leo, and I feel like I'm always kind of resistant to what's happening or what the changes are bringing for a moment, right? I'm a Gemini by nature. I'm already changeable and willing to go with that flow. But that Uranus in Leo and Mars in Leo, and I have the North Node in Leo, that tends to, Leo's a fixed sign. So in order to bring change, there's usually resistance in the beginning, like just a titch, and then I'm all in. But it's difficult sometimes. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Londa. It is good to see you. Asa says, LOL, Tom. All right, so let's go on to the full moon because that'll happen on Wednesday. I won't be on air again until Friday. So I want you to know about this full moon. It's a pretty powerful full moon. I'm going to share the screen here so you guys can see the moon. If you were with me on the day that we did the July 1st look ahead at July last, I think that was on the 25th of June. You've already seen this chart, and we've talked a lot already about this Capricorn full moon because it is an interesting one. It shines this light, right? Capricorn, the moon in Capricorn, shining this light on structure and integrity and personal mastery, but not just related to business. Now, Capricorn is a business related sign, but in this particular case, in this moon, we have trines and sextiles to the nodal axis, the north node and the south node. And the moon sextiles the south node and trines the north node. In this case, it creates this karmic invitation for us to sort of evolve, to change and transform. And honoring the past within this moon while moving toward a more soulful purpose in your life. And Mars will be in Virgo, is in Virgo, right up here. Virgo, where are you? Oh, you can't see my thingy moving anyway. So upper left corner, you see Mars in Virgo, and Mars in Virgo is sharpening our motivation to take practical, grounded action. Virgo, always that perfecting, movement toward, organization and making things work correctly and what have you. And then we have these two quintiles that are occurring in the chart. Now, quintiles are if we take the 360-degree wheel and we divide it by 5, we get 5 72-degree parts, right? And so those parts are called quintiles. And quintiles are kind of special because they don't happen all that often. And they kind of point us to special talents or a special way that things can happen. And there's two quintiles from the moon to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And then this creates these flashes, perhaps, of intuition or creative wisdom, the aha moments that come, where structure meets form, or form and structure meet creative vision and intuition, right? And it morphs into the discipline that we need in order to build or grow something. And these subtle yet sort of magical links support inspired leadership on your part or on the part of others in your groups, but also emotionally intelligent authority. We're moving toward emotional intelligence. And then finally, we have this minor grand trine, and we're going to be talking a lot about this. And I'm really interested to see how this minor grand trine, I don't know why the minor part, because I guess it's not a grand trine, but a minor grand trine. And um, this is made up by planets that have been changing positions. Pluto in Aquarius, now Uranus and Gemini, and then Neptune and Saturn together at this moment in Aries. And a minor grand trine is kind of elevating, giving us this rare opportunity for long-term or long-range transformation. And it's the kind that fuses the vision, in this case, of Neptune in Aries, the courage of Saturn in Aries, with the freeing aspects of Uranus and Plutoan transformational energy. It's collective empowerment as well. And it's a potent moment. And this is not just a moment, right? I call it a potent moment, but in reality, this is a configuration that will be with us until 2028, off and on, different planets moving in. For sure, it will stay Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. Saturn's joined the gang right now, but at other times, other planets will join in at this particular point. So we have this idea of purpose and passion and change and liberation and Plutoan empowerment in Aquarius, which is very future oriented. And this is air and fire working together, right? Air and fire, these are compatible elements. Air being, of the idea generation of movement of things, quick movement of things, sort of freeing, of being free to move. And then air and fire, where fire is the creative element, right? The passion, the action principle. So air and fire work really well together. And that should be an interesting long-term sort of transit for the long haul, if you will. And then when we look at in this, here's the moon. The moon is at 18 degrees of Capricorn and the sun at 18 degrees of Cancer. So here's where our full moon is, because the full moon is an opposition between the two luminaries. And they are placed in such a way to help us try to find balance in our work and home life, right? Work home life balance. Capricorn being more about the work, um, the business orientation, and Cancer being more about home. And then when we look at the sun here in Cancer, it is in a sextile to the south node, and then it is in a trine to the north node. So we have this positive feedback going on between the past and our identity from the past and who we think we are and who we've been and how we collect ourselves and perfect ourselves and how we organize ourselves. And yet, the movement has to be toward the north node, and there's a trine between the sun and the north node, making it easy for us to take all the lessons and all the things that we've gotten, under our belts over here in the south node and moving it up to the more spiritual sign of Pisces, where it is now about imagination and creativity and being spirit in body, or the spirit in human form, and how do we proceed, moving through that sign. How do we become more divinely guided, right, to do um, Cancerian things in this case? How do we take care of home? How do we take care of family? What constitutes family? What constitutes national pride and nationalism? We also have Jupiter in Cancer, although it's not necessarily close enough to the sun in this at this point in time to call it a conjunction. It's still adding its energy there, where we are really struggling to look at the concepts of nationalism and immigration and home and family and what all of that means to all of us in all of the nations of the world. But because I live here in the USA, it's very easy to track the things that are happening as it relates to these Cancer nurturing energies and whether or not we are being true to our stated Cancer roots, right? The United States itself is a Cancer nation. Right there on our Statue of Liberty, we are inviting immigrants into our nation. Of course, we are inviting them to come in the correct way, and a lot of times they are not. We get that. So how do we work with the energy while making this available as a home to people, but in a more congruent, sustainable way. This is a part of this full moon as well. And then we look at the moon in Capricorn. The moon in Capricorn is taking emotional energy and putting it more in a stoic sense, like withholding emotional reactivity and becoming more responsive. So the moon is, in her she's not in her happy place here. She's in kind of her detriment here because she's in her highest when she's in her home sign of Cancer. So the opposite sign of Cancer is Capricorn, and that puts the moon in her detriment. So she's not as able to be emotional in the sign of Capricorn. So perhaps it gives us an opportunity to be more objective about what we see happening in the world. But the moon is also sextiling the north node while trining the south node. So in a way, we're being asked to create what is our legacy? That's another word that I can bring up here, legacy. As a person, as an individual, as a family, as a nation, as a globe, right? As a citizen of the universe, what is our legacy? What are we leaving behind for our children for the future? Or what are we leaving, for the future? All of these things that we're looking at with a trine to the moon or to the south node, in Virgo, um, it would suggest that we're in a process of purifying. The sign of Virgo is very health oriented and about well being. So I often see purifying things going on when planets are transiting. And purifying could be about detoxification of your body, of your mind, of your soul, of an institution, of just thinking patterns, etc. It's all about coming back to the real responsive thinking patterns instead of just reactivity. So we have that going for us. And then the sextile to the north node in Pisces, giving us a way to look at the future, taking what we know, releasing the old or the toxic parts of things, and allowing it to support us in moving toward the future, right? Or toward creating a positive future. So it all plays out really well. And then the quintile to Saturn and Neptune, Saturn being the ruler of Capricorn, makes this full moon one that I think turns out to be very positive, right? Very uplifting, as long as we are balancing form and spirit in our lives. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a moment and go back. The full moon is opposite Asa's north node in Cancer at 15 degrees, and the sun conjuncts that. So in your 8th house. Ooh. And here you are, Asa, getting ready to move, I believe, right? If you haven't moved already, I can't remember the date you're moving. But finding a new home, a new foundation, Capricornian, right? Foundation. 8th house, transformative, right? Hopefully transforming into more sustainable home situation, more sustainable living arrangements, that type of thing, and being supported by that Capricorn full moon. And we often think of these oppositions, they're tugging us in two different directions. And in this case, one tug is toward home, the other tug is toward business. And how do we balance that? How do we keep that in check, right? And always in balance will be the thing. So, anybody else have any questions about, on the 18th? I thought I was going to say the 17th, but 18th works as well. And hopefully you found a new place and it's going to suit you and it's going to be sustainable for you and make it feel like you have a real foundation for your future. All right. And anybody else with any questions about what's going on in their own chart, let me know here. At this point, I've come to the end of the material I had to share this morning, but I do want to, let me see if I have it here. I want to give you the link to the Uranus and Gemini webinar that Tam and I are going to do on July 16th. It's a Wednesday at noon p.m. It is also recorded, so if you can't join us for the live, you can, by purchasing your ticket, you can still have access to the recordings, and the ticket price is $22. It is money that we put toward the um, publication of the Energy Almanac, which we have already gotten some of the edited versions back, so we're plowing ahead with that 2026-2027 edition. And the link here is to choose Big Change, where you can purchase your ticket. And let me see if I can show that on the screen. There you go. I don't know if you guys can click it on the screen, but it's here for you to be able to follow. And that is it for me. I can't believe it. Maybe I forgot something this morning. No. This is one of those months where it's not overly taxing, right? It's not one of those months that makes me go, oh my God, how am I going to get this information out to everybody? But if you guys have questions, please let me know. If you want me to look at your charts, let me know. I would, let me see if I can reach down here. You know, I'm still not used to this working environment that I'm in. But I just pulled a deck of cards out. Messages from heaven. That's funny. How did that get on top? But let's pull a card while I'm waiting for people. Oh my God, Tom. He says living in an RV makes the show shorter. Well, it certainly makes it harder in a way, because I feel out of sorts almost every day when I'm sitting at my desk. I'm like, I feel like I have to be more contained. My daughter keeps telling me that I should pull this dinette set out and put in a desk. I don't know what I want to do about that, but here's the card. Believe in yourself and your abilities. We believe in you. That is a message from heaven. Oh, let me stop this. Hold on. Remove that. There we go. Now you can see the card. And why is everything backwards? That is bizarre. It does say, believe in yourself and your abilities. We believe in you. Card number 28, which is a 10, which is a 1. New beginnings. And let's see what this says. Believe in yourself and your abilities, because we believe in you. You can do it. You have all the skills you need to complete the task ahead, so just go for it. Breathe in confidence as you take on exciting new challenges. You are as good as everyone else, if not better. Your loved ones say, we are proud of you. Go and make it happen. Perfect. Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Yep, that's right. The seagull there. And I'm going to see if I can reach for another deck. J-Lo says she has Uranus in Scorpio at 0 degrees in the 5th. That's Leo energy. It is indeed. The 5th house is ruled by Leo, so we have a Leo-Scorpio connection. And by the way, Leo and Scorpio are both fixed signs, and they square one another. So Uranus likely presents you at times with challenges of moving forward, right? And not staying stuck. Creatively, especially because the 5th house. So the next deck, I must have put my cards in upside down as I moved, because these are all my older decks, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with older decks. This is the Spirit Animal deck from Colette Baron Reed. And J-Lo says, oh, it sure does. And by the way, if you guys want a card reading for yourself, I have time. I have about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So this is for the collective, and the animal we get is, I don't think we've ever gotten this one, porcupine spirit. Time for beginner mind. Time for beginner mind. Dang it. Let me look at my settings here for a second. How do I get there? Settings. Oh, it's mirroring my camera. That's why. Now you can see it. Porcupine spirit. Time for beginner mind. Card number 48, which is a 12, which is a 3. Let's see. And it was upside down when I pulled it out. I'm not sure if in this deck it works that way. So let's see what I get here. Yeah. So there's an oracle message, and then there is also a protection message if the card is upside down. And it says, are you feeling prickly and defensive lately and assuming you will be hurt before you have seen any sign that such a reaction is called for? Perhaps an old sense of guilt and shame is causing you to be cynical and wary when you are meant to be open and curious. Self-protection is a good thing, but you may be protecting yourself from something that will not actually harm you, but instead will bring you abundance, happiness, and love. Remember your innocence, and you will see what you have been overlooking. Porcupine quills are filled with air, allowing a porcupine to float in water. I didn't know that. Now is a time to let your innocent nature keep you buoyant. Lovely. Did you guys know that? All right. So Christine, J-Lo, Tom. Tom was the first one. Tom, I'd love a card reading. Tom, what deck would you? Not that I can pick a deck. I'm just going to draw from whatever decks show up in my hand. Did I just put that one back? I did. Well, Tom, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I pulled it back out, and it's messages from heaven. So maybe the card you need is a message from your mom or from somebody who has passed away in your life. So let's do it, shall we? And messages from heaven. Ooh, this one says, we have fun and you too must enjoy yourself. That's your message from heaven. We have fun and you too must enjoy yourself. Sparkling lights on a beach. And it's card number 8. So let's see what that says. Again, this is a message from a loved one, so I like it. And it says, the end of physical life is not the end of life. Our loved ones have changed form but continue to exist, and their new life is full of laughter and joy. They are saying to you, we have pleasure watching you laugh and have fun too. Don't stop living your life to the fullest. I hope that has meaning for you, Tom. It's a pretty card. All right. So that was for Tom. Let's see. After Tom was J-Lo. Oh, you were seeing it correctly? That's very weird. And now are you seeing it weird now because I changed the setting? Okay, J-Lo, any card would be great if you have the time. I do have the time this morning. Time is on my side. Let's see what deck I pull out for you. I'm going to mess them all up. Oh, Angelic Activations Oracle for you, J-Lo. And I will get to Nancy and Christine and Dana. So, oh, that one flipped up. Okay. I love that when these things happen. This is Mary, Queen of Angels. Mary, Queen of Angels. And this is your message. It says, do not be afraid. You were born for this. Trust in your voice. Trust in your ability to articulate your thoughts. Trust in your capacity to use and share your gifts. If you are feeling scared or unsure about the next step, this is just showing how much you care about making a difference. Stand in the light of your soul. It is the only shield you need. The activation says, I trust in myself, my voice, and my gifts. I am unafraid. Wow, Mary, Queen of Angels. Do not be afraid. That was for you, J-Lo. I hope that has meaning for you. Makes me wonder what it is you're up to, where you need courage, right? Let's see. After J-Lo was Christine. Let's tap in here for you, Christine. I'm feeling dragon, but I'm not sure that's what's going to show up. No, that's not what showed up. Oracle of the Seven Energies. This is also a Colette Baron Reed deck. And let's see what it says. I guess in the mornings now I'm going to have to put my deck that I want to pull from up front. Although this is kind of fun. Great and full. Great and full. Great full. But it says great and full. Card number 4. There we go. Let's see what this one says. Number 4, key concept of this card, and this is going to be a long one, so hang with me here. The mindful practice of gratitude, knowing that you are enough, committing to your intentions, a sense of self sufficiency, letting go of attachment to form. Before you can begin to understand the process of manifesting your desires, you need to practice deep gratitude and the willingness to share that with others. This is the true nature of prosperity. It's not about the things you accumulate at all, it's about how you feel. You're invited to surrender to an important truth. There is always enough for you. And there is enough time to do the things you need and desire to do, enough opportunities to express your talents and connect to your purpose, and enough magic circulating through the invisible world into the visible. Begin your day immersed in gratitude for everything you have and everything you can't see or that you can't yet see, which begins with every breath you take. Know that you are enough and all your needs are being fulfilled, even if you doubt this in some moments. No one's success can make you feel small, and comparing yourself to others never works. Your life is brimming with unique potential. Focus on that. When you hold this feeling of gratitude, it acts as a magical open sesame to the floodgates of abundance. Couple that with playful sense of detachment, and you'll find that miracles have an uncanny way of showing up in your life. Your intentions burst forth into reality with little effort on your part. There is hope, brimming with potentiality. It's okay that you don't always trust this. You are not alone in holding the candle high for transformation. Right now, contemplate how being in the energy of enough makes you feel. Eventually, you will have no attachment to what you do or do not manifest into the material world, what you do or you do not have. Then, like magic, you have more than enough. What a fascinating universe we live in. I would say that's good. That is a good thing. So great and full. Um, there we go. All right. So let's see. After Christine, I think was Nancy Ross. Okay, Nancy Ross. What am I getting for you? Not getting that one. Let's see what I pull out of my box of tricks here. This one doesn't want to come out. All right, so what I pulled initially was a Mayan card. This is the Mayan Oracle. It's a galactic language of light by Ariel Spilsbury and Michael Brenner. It is also a very kind of magical deck. So Nancy, this is for you. Measure, number 4. So in the Mayan way of counting, they counted single things for 1 through 4. So that's the number 4. Measure. And I'm running out of room here, guys. So the numbers, and these are fairly long as well, so bear with me on this. Okay. Emish. Hologram. 4. Here we go. So, Nancy. In alignment with the natural cycles, may the sacred take form in the great mystery revealed through you. The qualities of the number 4 are order, definition, discrimination, natural cycles, meaningful alignment, timing, organizer, troubleshooter. 4 is the ray of measure, the alignment with natural cycles. It is the square, the base of the pyramid, the solid foundation that unifies the lines of directional force. 4 is the diamond asking you to utilize the tool of discrimination. Now is the time to manifest your dream or vision. Look to natural logic, order, and definition. These gifts support the whisperings of your creative spirit. You are the architect who manifests your dreams. Open the door and call forth the sacred four. You are being brought into meaningful alignment, bringing healing into this cycle of your life. The four directions offer you assistance in understanding universal physical laws. No, use measure as a tool of consciousness to mold time, form, and space. Now is the time to focus, to connect tangibly with the undefined. Take your ideas and give them discipline and form. Develop the ability to be clear and discriminate without creating separation or judgment. Channel your creative energy constructively, generating the power for practical manifestation. If you drew this card, consider the possibility of a potential or manifested gift as an organizer or planner. You may find yourself called to be in the forward scouting party of any mythic quest or pattern because of your gifts in this area. Drawing this card indicates a gift with clear mental discrimination, definition, and bringing organization and order to processes and patterns. In your present query, pay attention to right timing. Right timing. So important. That's the card. Measure. Okay. Now let's see. After Nancy was Jana. And Jana, let's see, Jana. It's not Mayans for you. I want to say it's an animal card for you. Okay. Let's do that. Sacred animals. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend if you're here in the U.S. It was a busy one here in my new abode with lots of people coming and going over the weekend. And I enjoyed it, but I'm really glad it's now over too. Jana, I pulled the card Elephant Spirit for you that says learn from the past. Isn't she a beautiful elephant? And it's card number 25, which is a 7. So there's a spiritual message here. Elephant Spirit, learn from the past. And let's see. It was right side up. So we'll read the full message. Okay. Although we often wish we could leave the past behind, Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. What has come before informs what we are experiencing today, and we must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant Spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and to learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of the events you experienced, the stories in our collective memory, and the stories of relationships you have had can be told many ways. What story will you tell? Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honored yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. I hope that's meaningful for you. All right. And let's see. I think that was the last one. Jana, J-Lo. Kelly Blau, I opened my phone. It was so happy to see you streaming live. Thank you. The move did go well, although I still am looking for things. Card for Terry Strauss. Okay, I have a couple more minutes. I am pulling cards just because I had extra time this morning. And I'll do 2 more, one for Kelly and one for Terry. So, Terry Strauss. I have a message from heaven, messages from heaven for you. And if I can get the book out of there. There we go. Let's see what that message is. Hopefully, it is a beautiful message. It is focus on the positives. You know there are many. Card number 29, which of course is an 11, which is spiritual, which is enlightening, which is illumination. Here's the card, Terry. This is what it looks like. Whoops, upside down. There we go. Focus on the positives. You know there are many. So 29 says, there is so much going right in your life, but sometimes you don't see the whole picture. Open your eyes to what you do have and see all the ways in which life is going well for you. By focusing on the good things, you attract more of the same into your life. You are blessed in so many ways. Rejoice and remain optimistic. There you go, Terry. I hope that means a lot for you. And then Kelly. Kelly, I'm not sure I have the card deck up front here. Ooh, wisdom. This is an older deck of mine. This goes back to 2006 when I had my own store. Wisdom of Avalon. This is an oracle deck that was originally Colette Baron Reed. She's not updated this deck that I know of, but I still really like this deck. So Kelly, this will be for you. And of course, the Wisdom of Avalon taking us to the time of Camelot. And okay. Card 43. There are cards in this deck that are signposts, and here's the signpost that you have. It is the card Burden, number 43, which is a 7. Not that you are burdened, but let's see what it says. Which number? 43. And, okay, here, Kelly, this is for you. What burdens are you carrying on this part of your journey? Are you transporting those of others out of generosity and or codependency? Is this burden so heavy that it slows you down? This marker asks you to stop and look at your responsibilities, your commitments, and all that you bring with you on your journey. Are you clinging to an unhealthy relationship out of fear? Are you taking on the burden of others to prevent them from getting hurt? Do you know that this enables others to avoid learning their life lessons and doesn't really help at all? Drawing this marker encourages you to release others to their own path. It may also be a time for you to ask if you're helping because you like being needed. If the answer is yes, then the message is truly to let go of this burden, for it's born of self-centeredness. Release the burden of others to the divine. They also have their own angels and guides, just as you do. Trust in the divine plan for all. On the sacred path to Avalon, you must be aware that you pack all the essential wisdom tools that you will need to chart your course. Integrity, kindness, compassion, discernment, discretion, faith, forgiveness, truth, and love are but some of them. Once your tools are counted, see if the rest of what you're hanging on to is appropriate. This is the time to leave behind any unnecessary burdens and to know that you have the strength to carry what is yours. Not such a bad card, right? Burdens. Burden. All right. Well, that is it for me today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will see you on Friday. Don't forget to follow this link to sign up for the Uranus and Gemini webinar for Wednesday, July 16th. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.